Welcome to Boston Bannerbound. I'm holding my breath, okay? It's like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. I don't know if that's a realist or a pessimist look on things, but just with this inconsistency with the Celtics, I don't know. Honestly, I don't. So the Celtics win tonight against the Raptors. They are now leading the series 2-1. They won 117-108, so they won by 9. They did have a 16-point lead at one point in this game. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my reaction to this game, Kyrie Irving's big announcement at the end of the game, and talk about what this means for the Celtics, what's their identity, and what we should look for going forward. So, Raptors, the big bad Raptors with Kawhi Leonard came into town. They were riding on a 5-game win streak, and they were first in the East. And now I say they were, because this loss knocked them down to the 2nd seed. Now the Bucks are in the 1st seed, and the Celtics snapped their 3-game losing streak. Celtics are now 6 games back, and they were 7 games back, but now with this win, they are now 6 games back from the Milwaukee Bucks, not the Raptors. So everyone was healthy. Everyone was back. Baines was back. That was probably the highlight of my night, was seeing Baines back. However, Robert Williams, he did warm up, but when he was on the bench, he was not dressed. So I'm not quite sure what happened between warm-ups and start of game, but he dressed right back into some street clothes. So I'm not quite sure what happened with Robert Williams. But injury report for the Raptors, actually Anunoby was out for personal reasons. It was not an injury tonight. So Anunoby did not play. Valanciunas is still out suffering with a broken hand, and CJ Miles was out. And Van Vliet was questionable, but he did play tonight. And of course, like I said, we got Aaron Baines back with that broken hand. And we also got Marcus Smart, the Celtics defensive identity. He came back tonight. He was ill the night before, but we got him back. So the Raptors took an 11-point early lead in the first quarter. They were having a lot of fast break points for the Raptors. They ended up closing out the first quarter 36-30. They were up by 6 on the Celtics. Kawhi Leonard, he had 9 points, and Irving had 8. You could just tell that this game was higher intensity, more effort. Irving was super excited to be in this game. Everybody's energy was really high. And of course, that's typical for the Celtics, because when they face a team that is a higher caliber and quality team, they rise to that occasion. But when it is a lesser team, like who they'll face on Friday, which is the Memphis Grizzlies, who are second to last in the Western Conference standings, I'm sure it's going to be a different type of game and a different momentum if the pattern continues with this mistaken Celtics identity of playing down to lesser teams and playing up to high competition. So the Celtics ended up getting a 2-point lead in the middle of the second quarter, but Celtics had 9 turnovers in the first half. Toronto was just looking awful in the first half, not looking like themselves, missing shots. They were kind of playing down to the Celtics in my mind. The Celtics outscored the Raptors 34-17 in the second quarter, and it put up the Celtics up by 11 at half, 64-53. Gordon Hayward, we see him back. He did phenomenal. He ended that half with 16 points. Irving, look at him, okay? Look at these numbers at half. He had 14 points and 8 assists. Now, just at half, he had 8. He finished the game with an 18-point assist, career high for him. And what I want to talk about here is assists for Kyrie Irving being key. Even Gordon Hayward at a post-game conference tonight said Irving did a great job sharing the ball. That was the first thing he said. And then he said that Irving did a good job balancing between sharing the ball, getting assists, playmaking, being a facilitator, as well as getting buckets for himself. So that was pretty interesting to see here when Irving is sharing the ball and being a team player and not just focusing on himself. 18 assists tonight. He kind of made a backhanded comment in his post-game interview tonight and said, yeah, 18 assists, career high. People think I still don't pass the ball, though. And honestly, I mean, if you keep playing like that, no one will say that. Everyone will shut up if you want to pass the ball and score buckets and balance it out. Consistency is key here. If you can stay with that, everyone will shut up, Irving. How about that? Celtics, again, up by 16 at the beginning of the third quarter, but Celtics hate third quarters. I don't know what it is. They don't ever want to play them again. They're not a fan of third quarters. They hate third quarters, okay? Don't want to play in them. And they don't show up for them, that's for damn sure. So they lost that lead. The Raptors cut it to 2. Then the Raptors actually maintains and regains the lead. 90-89 in the fourth. So it carried over from their third quarter struggles, onto the fourth quarter. The Celtics ended up falling behind again. So in the first quarter they were trailing, and in the fourth quarter they were trailing. But they overcame the adversity, and they got that lead back up. They went on an 11-2 run to close the game out, and they won by 9 in the TD Garden. But here's what I noticed. Extra passes, the extra unnecessary passes are killing the Celtics. I saw multiple times Smart under the basket trying to give that extra pass to Brown or whoever who's under the basket. Just go up for the layup. The worst you could do is draw a foul. I don't want Jaylen Brown on the free throw line. That's for damn sure, because he can't hit his free throws to save his life. But I would like a player that can actually shoot from the free throw line to get an opportunity if they can get one. Draw a foul. Get in the paint more. This isn't just a 3-point game. And people need to realize that. You need to drive and you need to go to the bucket more. And stop doing the extra passes. That's really where you're going to lose your momentum. You're going to make a mistake. If too many people are touching the ball, that's a chance for a turnover, and you don't want turnovers, okay? So focus on that. But anyways, Kawhi Leonard, obviously the Raptors' leading scorer with 33 points for the night. Serge Ibaka had a double-double, 22 points and 10 rebounds. However, this was an interesting thing for me because I'm usually preaching the more people you have in double figures, you will win the game. But the Raptors had 6 players in double figures to the Celtics' 4. And that's crazy to me, that they only had 4 players in double figures, but they still got the win, and they only played 9 players tonight. You didn't really see much bench help besides Gordon Hayward. He was the only guy. But however, what doesn't get noticed in the stat sheet, so let me tell you, what doesn't get noticed in the stat sheet is effort and energy. Brad Stevens was very clear to make note of the fact that Terry Rozier absolutely changed the game for them in the second quarter. His energy, his presence, everyone fed off it. He said even the building, the fans, fed off of Terry Rozier's energy. And that's huge coming from Brad Stevens. Him just saying that. Even though the stat sheet and your line tonight didn't show that you really did much on the offensive or defensive end on the boards, as just a help for the Celtics, he provided that energy, that confidence, that contagious atmosphere for everyone, including fans. So that was really awesome to see. So good job for Terry Rozier. I'm glad his attitude seems to be better and seems to be adjusting. Celtics, Irving had 27 points. Like I said, he had a career high 18 assists, which is awesome. I want to see Irving having a double-double every night. I want his assists up, and I don't really care about how many points he produces. Like I said, if he's getting 18 assists, that's buckets for other people. So we need to see the assists get higher, the ball hogging get lower, and you will get the wins in the win column. Tatum, double-double, quiet, 16 points, 10 rebounds. Horford, 24 points. It was kind of a battle between Serge Ibaka and Al Horford, the big guys. They were battling back and forth, really putting up numbers for big guys. So that was awesome. Hayward, 18 points. Like I said, he had a really awesome game tonight. He was on, and it was good to see his confidence there. And it's good to see the old Gordon Hayward getting back to him. 32 team assists. Welcome back. They're back to 30 plus assists. So that is awesome. Again, they now lead the series over the Raptors 2-1, and they do face the Memphis Grizzlies, who are sitting in the, like I said, second to last spot in the West. They come to the TD Garden on Friday. I will be back with you, giving you my insight, telling you what I think they need to do going forward. This has been Boston Banner Bound. I'm Brianna DiNucci. Have a great rest of your night. Also completely forgot to talk about Irving and the comments he made tonight. So he had a post-game interview, and he apologized again for publicly calling out his teammates and basically saying that they aren't mature enough or ready enough for a playoff run. And he said that he even called LeBron James after the loss in Orlando. And he basically said that he apologized to LeBron for being a young kid back then with the Cavs. And he basically said that he was one of those kids that wanted it all, and he said, quote unquote, it takes a lot to be one of the greatest players in the world and to expect so much from your teammates and to try and get the most out of your teammates. It's, not meant for most people. And he kept repeating that, like, it's not meant for most people. I asked for this. I wanted this. I wanted my own team. I wanted to be the leader, and I wanted to lead a team to a victory because I've tasted it. I've had it before. I want it again. I want another ring. But I didn't realize that I was a young kid back then and like how I was to LeBron. And so he said because of how he acted and because of how it's hard for him being that older guy now on a team, that he called LeBron and apologized for his actions. But in my opinion, I think he should have called Jaylen Brown, not LeBron James. I think you should have called your teammates and apologized to them more, because he said to the press conference tonight, he said, it was wrong of me. I should have kept it in-house. I shouldn't have said these things publicly. I didn't realize the magnitude of my voice, and I also don't know what my teammates are going through behind closed doors, and if they're sensitive or not, or, if they're vulnerable, and if what I am saying is going to hurt them. So he said he's going to continue to challenge them, but not publicly. He wants the best from his teammates. He's going to push them to get the best out of his teammates, but he's not going to do it in a public way anymore where he insults them. And I think, that's a great idea. You shouldn't have done it in the first place. And I get it if you're impatient. He was saying he's very impatient, and he did it out of anger. And I get it. There's a lot of inconsistency here. And a lot of people are talking about trading you or not wanting you on the team anymore. So I get the hostility and I get being upset, but you need to understand that your team is full of young guns who are just, first of all, had to take a back seat to you coming back when they did phenomenal without you last year. So it's pretty hard for these young guys to sit here and get criticized when you are also a part of the team. Jaylen Brown said, it's not about pointing fingers. We're a team. We lose together. We win together. So him apologizing shows some good faith, but did he do it for, again, being in the public and, trying to just save face? Or did he really mean it? And I thought it was extremely interesting that he felt the need that he needed to call LeBron and apologize. Like, you really needed to feed his ego more. I think that's a little bit ridiculous. You really didn't need to call LeBron. So, yeah, we'll see. I mean, they're playing against the Grizzlies on Friday, the second worst team in the West. So if I'm following their patterns, they're probably going to lose because they play down to their competition. And I'm really hoping that they prove me wrong. I'm not saying this as a pessimist. I'm saying this as a realist. And if I look at their track record, that's what happens. And I don't want that to be the case anymore. I want them to find the consistency. I want them to work on the team assists. I want them to work on chemistry and ball movement, but not overly ball movement. They need to find the balance, they need to communicate, and they need to find the right groups to go in rotations that play well together. Baines was a huge plus having him back. That was huge. You saw it across the board. His presence, his energy, not to mention just his skill, hitting that three in the clutch there to send them back on that momentum, to get them on that run, that 9-0 run. That was thanks to Baines. But you gotta know that that's just the type of guy he is. He does whatever for his team. He came back in 4 weeks. He missed 13 games with a broken hand, and he's back already. And for 2 weeks, Brad said he's been practicing and working out, and he said he's literally working these machines to the bones. That's how hard he's been working out to try and get back to his team, because he's the best teammate. Everyone calls him a cheerleader, the biggest cheerleader on the bench. But you know what? If you're not cheering for your teammates, then what are you even doing on a team? Because it's a team sport. And if you're not cheering your teammates on while you're on the bench, then I think basketball isn't the sport for you, because it's not an individual sport. You need to have teammates. You need to play together. You need to support each other. And you see that support all the time from Baines and Smart and Morris. These guys could be putting up crazy numbers every night, but they share the ball and they do what's best for the team. And that's how you get the wins. And I think that Kyrie Irving learned that tonight. He didn't have a crazy high points that he got tonight. He had what did I say? 27 and 18. The 18 is what won them the game. The 18 assists, not the 27 points that you put up. It was the 18 assists. That's what got you the win tonight. So, I'm hoping and praying that they do well on Friday against a really bad team. I'm hoping that they prove me wrong and that their track record is changing. We're a little past the halfway point now in the season. I think it's time to figure it out. Get on the same page. Everyone's talking about your inconsistency. Get consistent. I'll be back to talk about it on Friday. We'll talk about it. Hopefully they win. Have a great night, guys.